So by the way, when you look at these things, which you can't see, when you look at these changes that I'm making just off of just a little bit of student feedback, it tells you that I really respond to questions that you have. Outside my office, a little suggestion box. Hopefully the cleaners won't come and take that away. But if you have something that you would like, but you don't feel comfortable asking me in person, you can just drop a note in there, typewritten, so I won't even identify you, and I can look at it at some time and see if it's something that we can incorporate. Okay, so I'm going to just go through the Webassign problems. Let me add one more to the laws of exponents. I see one in here that I might have missed. The pth root of a to the q is a to the q over p. I have a way I remember that. You know, I show you sometimes I remember things with numbers. I remember that because square root of x is x to the 1/2. That's one I have to remember. If you're taking calculus, you'll see it so much you'll remember it. Well, square root is the same thing as a second root. So there's an imaginary 2 that's there that they don't write. And x is to the 1 power because it's just x. So that tells me that whatever I'm square rooting by, or whatever I'm rooting by, in this case it's a second root, is the denominator of the fraction that goes here. And whatever is the exponent of the x is the numerator of the fraction that goes there. And that's how I remember this relationship, that what goes here belongs in the denominator, what goes here, that's an ugly looking q, goes up here. So that's how I keep that one straight. When I did this earlier, black looked the most clear. Let's try that. This is kind of the scary math that you have in a movie to scare people. So this is Webassign problem number 2. And they want you to simplify this. As you were when you were small, you know that the parenthesis inside the parentheses comes first. So anything in the parentheses goes first. So you see this stuff here that's in the parentheses with the -2 on the outside, that has to be taken care of first. You can take care of it in a number of ways. And another thing you could do is you could change these roots over to being fractional exponents. So let's do that first. Step 1, change all roots to fractional exponents. So I'm going to take that 7 to the cube root of the cube root of 7. I'm going to change it to 7 to the 1/3. And I'm going to change this cube root of 49. I'm going to change it to 49 to the 1/3. X to the -1/3. Y to the 7/5. It's going to take me a little while to get used to this. So. Step 2 is to start with the exponents that are on the outside. So I'm just applying the rules. Unlike my PowerPoint, I can't show you the rules at the same time. I can write them on the board. So maybe I'll write them on the board while I'm catching up with my speedy writing. So remember that b to the m, b to the n equals b to the m plus n. B to the m divided by b to the n is b to the m minus n. B to the minus m is 1 over b to the m, and b to the 1 over b to the minus m is that one. The pth root of a to the q is equal to a to the q over p. That's the one I'm using to change those roots into fractional exponents. Did I miss any? I got this one too, right? A to the p, b to the q, all raised to the m is a to the p times m, b to the q times m. So everything gets multiplied in. So the one I used so far is this one right here. That's all I did in step 1. Step 2, I'm going to take that -2 that you see right here and bring it in using this rule right here. Outside exponents. So what I mean by outside exponent is this thing right here. Bring that in. What is the new exponent going to be? What am I supposed to do with 1/3 and -2? Multiply them. That's -2/3 when you multiply them. What happens to the x to the -1/3 and -2? What do I do with them? Multiply them. So it becomes what? +2/3. What do I do with the exponent from the y? 7/5 and -2 becomes my best friend? Quasi? We're best friends, right? He's not my best friend. What happens to the 7/5? -14/5, right. So far, so good. I mean, all I'm doing, it's really knowing these rules that are important and having them committed to memory. I've got a little bit of this committed to memory that's probably getting me close to getting committed permanently. But I've got these in my head all the time. And in fact, I can tell you that up till my junior year of high school, I was not really considered a smart person. I memorized these things, and I just for kicks, I went to a math competition, and I ended up winning that math competition. That's outranking everybody who constantly does math. This and the log laws. Those are the two things I had committed to memory. I was ready. They're really that important. Let me see if I can take this thing out. Don't need this. Okay, let's move this up. Okay, next step. You're going to move all the numbers together and move all the letters that are similar together, because what you're going to set it up for is using this first rule up here, that b to the m rule. So step 3, move all, they're not really like terms, but like letters together. All right, let's do it in order. So the numbers get put together. I'm going to put a little 1 here on the y, because I'm setting myself up. No more parentheses. I've scooted everything around. Boy, I don't like adding fractions. But we have to add fractions. So far, so good? Now the last step is always this one. Apply that rule where you're adding the exponents. It's a little blurry, but you can see it. If it's not blurry, don't tell me because it means my eyes are bad. It's okay? You can see it? Okay, so at this step, ignore the 7 to the 1/3 and 49 to the minus 2/3 for now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add the 5 and the 2/3. To do that, guess what I need to do? Common denominators. So what was going on here? Common denominators. That's what's going on. Cassandra?
So x to the fifth exponent and x to the 2/3. What if the common denominator be 15?
The denominator, so let me take this to the side. Okay, so the denominator of, so what she asked was, how did I know that it was a 15/3? So I got a 5 plus 1/3, right? Put that over 1. Those two denominators are not the same. So I multiply this and I get 15/3. So again, when you see me doing it fast like this, I probably should, and I should do them slow, but they're coming fast because I do this stuff every day. So that's the only reason. If you want to think I'm a genius, go ahead. That's fine, but it's because I do it every day. Okay, I'm going to erase this part down here so I can finish off the problem. I like that purple. That looks nice. And I'm not quite sure how Webassign wants you to answer this. I'm okay with this part. We're going to deal with those numbers in a second because I feel like I'm going to confuse you if I mix it up into this problem. Everything good with this problem? I'm doing a few of them carefully because I won't be able to do all of them. It's not going to, this way.
So you don't combine the numbers?
I'm going to combine them in a second. But it's a little tricky. But up to this step, everybody's with me? I can't see the numbers anymore, so I'm going to have to give me the numbers. Okay, what were the numbers again? 7 to the 1/3. There's so many ways to combine these numbers. One thing you could do, which you could crank it on your calculator. 7 to the 1/3. Was it 49 to the minus 2/3? Correct?
You can't see it. Yeah.
Oh, I forgot I shoved this thing up. There we go. Okay, so it's supposed to be autofocus. I paid a lot for this. One way is, but you'll get a decimal answer if you do that. You take 7 and raise it to the 1/3. Make sure your 1/3 is in parentheses, because if you don't put it in parentheses, it's not going to give you the right answer. 49 to the minus 2/3. You can put it on a calculator and multiply them out. But I believe what they would like you to do, because these numbers are set up this way, is 49 is 7 squared. Now, why would I do that? Because these rules can only be used if the bases are the same. So the 7s had to be the same for me to start applying these rules. Once I do that, I can start applying the rules. Right? Just I'm autopilot. I can't even, like, I apply these rules so much. So this minus 4/3 came from taking and multiplying the exponents here. So I'm applying the rule that says multiply the exponents. That's all I'm doing. And so now this is this rule right here. B to the m, b to the n. So it's I just add the exponents. Wow, 7 to the minus 1. 7 to the minus 1 is what? 1 over 7. Not negative 7, as my son used to put. You know, this thing, maybe I can move it away from that. I hate pushing this in too tightly because then I feel like it's damaging my computer. There we go. Okay, so you get 1/7. Read me off the other garbage that we just did. I feel naked without the PowerPoints. Negative 5/3? 9/5? Okay. So it's not that long ago I taught this to my son, and we went through a series of progressive steps where, first of all, he's watching me with a bored look on his face because I'm going through every step. And he thinks that he can go through it without going through every step. And he would get them wrong. And I would get them right. So then I would ask him, why did you not put in every step? And he would not say anything. But I mean, he's my son. I can read his face because you were taking too many steps. And I said, you think I was taking too many steps? Let me ask you who got it right. And he said, touche. I got it right. So if you want to get them right, take every step, because these kind of problems, they're not about intelligence at all. They're about bookkeeping. Don't tell my son that, because I told him his mom is smarter than him and always will be. So, but really, it's not about intelligence. None of the stuff that I did on the board can be done by a computer, and it is done by a computer. I run these things on something called Maple. So it's rote, and it is an issue with bookkeeping. And when someone gets it wrong, they usually get it wrong because they weren't bookkeeping. It's not because they were not intelligent or they didn't know what to do. Most people know what to do. It's just they were not careful. So I don't know what props I can set in there for you, but what I can do is allocate you more points for the more steps you take, so that there's kind of this idea behind that it is about bookkeeping. It's nothing more. And writing neat. Because if like you saw me writing neat, the P's sometimes look like Q's, and then it gets messed up in your head. So you need to bookkeep. Okay, any questions on that? Let me look at these problems. I think most of the first few that you're doing, 1 through 4 on Webassign are identical to this. I took the most complicated one. I'd like to do one more on this. I can do this faster.